Hey guys, welcome to Urb'n Barz, the UK channel that brings you the very best in rap, hip hop, and urban music from around the world. Guys, you know that I love hip hop and you know that I love boxing. So I was hella happy to discover that R.A. the Rugged Man has done a homage to boxing in his track Boxing Freestyle. And we all know R.A. the Rugged Man, but I'm an encyclopedia of boxing and I can't wait to hear what R.A. the Rugged Man has to say on my favourite sport, boxing, and the history of boxing. So R.A. the Rugged Man, and it's the Boxing Freestyle. Ding ding, here we go. Yep, Sugar Ray Robinson is viewed generally by most people as the best boxer to ever lace up a pair of gloves. Here we go, guys. I'm Sugar Ray Robinson, pound for pound the best, and you overprotected, never been in no real test. Mike Tyson eat your kids for lunch. I'm like, really? So he said, Rugged Man, R.A. the Rugged Man said, he's like Sugar Ray Robinson, pound for pound the best. You overprotected, you've never been in a test. Aye, 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 aye. So that's the way he would play this game. Okay. And you overprotected, never been in no real test. Mike Tyson eat your kids for lunch. I'm like really pep, I could win around without throwing a punch. So Mike Tyson eats your kids for lunch, but I'm like Willie Pep. I could win a round without throwing a punch. And that was a famous thing that happened back in the days. I mean, Willie Pep was a great boxer, a great featherweight boxer. Superb, actually. He's one of the best fighters that ever lived as well. But actually, you need to check out his rivalry with Sandy Sadler, one of the guys with the most knockouts ever. I think he had something like 144 knockouts, Sandy Sadler. Great, they had a great trilogy. Anyway, forget, like, Willie Pep was a great defensive boxer. He had something like 240 contests. He was only beaten about half a dozen times as well. Willie Pep, I think he was only stopped once in his entire career. Great boxer, Willie Pep, Will o' the Wisp, Willie Pep, fantastic. So this picture is Lennox Lewis. Let's just rewind there because I'm just chatting to you about the history of boxing, people. I'm like Willie Pep, I could win around without throwing a punch. Lennox Lewis had a glass jaw. If my grandmother hit him on the chin, he probably hit the floor. So he just said Lennox Lewis had a glass jaw, and if his grandmother hit him on the chin, he'd probably be on the floor. I disagree with that, Ari the Rugged Man. You are so wrong there. Lennox Lewis is one of the finest heavyweights in the history of boxing, guys. He only lost 2 times, but he avenged both those defeats. Lennox Lewis, I see him in 1988. Lennox Lewis saw him in the Commonwealth as well. He got to the Olympics twice. He was Olympic gold medalist in 88, I think it was. Yep. So I don't know where he's coming from with that, but yep. Lennox Lewis is one of the great heavyweights in history. This is Roberto Duran. All-time greatest lightweight. Prince Nassim was whack. All the hype was fake. So he just said Roberto Duran was one of the greatest lightweights, which is true. But then he comes out with Prince Nazim Hamed was whack. All the hype. What? Nah, Prince Nazim was a good fighter, but Prince Nazim started to believe his own hype, and that's when things started to get twisted. So I disagree with that. So there's 2 things that Ari the Rugged Man I disagree with. Have to take you to task. Lennox Lewis unified the heavyweight championship with Evander Holyfield. The first fight was a draw. The second fight he won on points. Evander Holyfield, another great heavyweight. And then you said Prince Nazim Hamed was whack. Prince Nazim Hamed only lost 1 fight in his entire career. He got schooled by my man, Marco Antonio Barrera, MAB. Yeah, Barrera is one of the finest fighters, the smaller fighters of the last 30, 40, 50 years. So, yeah, I don't think Prince Nazim was whack, though. That's Leon Spinks. Rest in peace. He died about a year or so ago. He was Neon Leon, great cruiserweight, but Leon Spinks and his brother Michael Spinks won Olympic gold in 1976 Montreal Olympics. That was a great time to be an amateur. 1976 Olympics, because you also had Sugar Ray Leonard, and I think 72 you had Sugar Ray Seals, but yeah, 76 was a good time. I think you had Howard Davis Jr. as well. Yep, great time for boxing. Sugar Ray Leonard was great, but he should have lost to Hagler. So he's just said Sugar Ray Leonard was great, but he should have lost to Marvelous Marvin Hagler. Another guy, rest in peace. Marvelous Marvin Hagler died just a few months ago, sadly at the age of 66 from the COVID virus. Very, very sad. Well, I think it was from COVID, sorry, because Thomas Hearns posted that online, but I don't know if that's true or false, so apologies there, but he died recently at the age of 66. Very sad. Marvelous Marvin Hagler, undisputed world middleweight champion for years and years. I think he made 14 defenses. Absolutely fantastic boxer. Great fighter. He beat my favourite fighter of all time, Thomas Hearns, by third round knockout. Yeah, I cried for days on that, guys. But the fight with Sugar Ray Leonard was a great fight. Sugar Ray Leonard had been retired for the best part of 4 or 5 years. He came back, beat Marvin Hagler on a 12-round split decision. Great fight. And to be honest with you, that fight is argued to this day. On the left hand, you'll have the diehard Marvin Hagler fans who will say he won that fight. On the right hand, you have the Sugar Ray Leonard fans who will say he won that fight with superior boxing. But there you go. That's what boxing's about. And those are two of the greatest fighters to have ever lived, duking it out. And sadly, today, boxers don't want to fight. What is going on with boxing today? None of you boxers want to fight. Get your gloves, lace them up and fight. Prove you're the best, please.
Should have lost to Hagler. The 70s had the best heavyweights. From Ali Frazier to George Foreman, there was so many greats. Bob Foster hit way too hard. He would have put Antonio Tarver and Roy Jones in the graveyard.
Yeah, so the 70s did have the great heavyweights. Oh, Muhammad Ali. Ugh. Probably the best that ever did it, most people would say, Muhammad Ali. Some people may say Joe Louis, some people say Rocky Marciano from the 50s, etc, etc. This picture here is of Larry Holmes. He's my favourite heavyweight of all time. Larry Holmes is a great champion, great jab, beautiful jab. Other people like Sonny Liston, who knows? But yep, who knows?
Some of y'all might disagree, but Larry Holmes might have been the best, even better than Ali. Greatest.
So he just said Larry Holmes may have been the best, even better than Ali. And unbiased, I love Larry Holmes, but I do respect Muhammad Ali and what he did for boxing in and outside the ring, and Joe Louis as well. Those three, yeah, great fighters. And then look in this picture here, Bob Foster, light heavyweight, one of the best light heavyweights ever. He had a chilling left hook. Oh, he used to ice people just for fun, but he just couldn't do it at heavyweight, unfortunately. Let's go.
Roy Jones in the graveyard. Some of y'all might disagree, but Larry Holmes might have been the best, even better than Ali. Greatest Puerto Rican fighter, Carlos Ortiz. Runner-up Wilfredo.
When I first got into boxing, oh my gosh, Bazooka Wilfredo Gomez. Oh, I absolutely love this guy. He made 17 consecutive KO victories in defense of his super bantamweight title. Then he lost to my other man, Salvador Sanchez, rest in peace, when he stepped up to featherweight. Those are the great days, guys, in the 1980s when everyone fought everyone, and they fought each other, and they fought anyone who thought they were great as well. And nowadays, no fighter wants to fight, and it's a shocking indictment in boxing today, guys. I mean, I've been a lifelong boxing fan, but I'm seriously reconsidering, guys. Trust me.
Gomez in the early 80s. Worst Puerto Rican fighter is John Ruiz. Winky Wright beat Shane Mosley 2 times with ease. Learned that Whitaker was robbed so many different occasions. Mike McCallum represented hard for the Jamaicans. Costa Sue made Zab do the funky chicken. Years later, Ricky Hatton had Costa Sue quitting. I ran Barkley rep the 3X. Christy Martin was the first popular fighter, the opposite sex. Galata punched Whitaker repeatedly in the dick. Then when he fought Mike Tyson, he bitched out and quit.
That's so true. Andrew Galata, he's one of these enigmas in boxing. His 2 fights with Riddick Bowe, if you haven't seen them, guys, you need to go and see them. Those 2 are attritional wars. I mean, unbelievable fights. But it's true, Galata then quit against Mike Tyson in a couple of rounds. Very strange, but these things happen.
A steel technician, Jack Johnson beat white boys and fuck their women. Floyd Patterson got knocked out by Sonny Liston. Paulie Ayala always seemed to get the kick decision. Toro Gaddy take the best ass whipping. Jim Lampley and the rest of the HBO cheerleaders do the most ass kissing. They jerk burn on.
Jim Lampley is an ass. Yeah, you go. HBO, never liked them, people. Trust me. My thing about HBO is they had so much money, and they had a guy, Triple G. They wouldn't put a penny into promoting Triple G. So by the time Triple G sort of came to the fore, he was already a burnt out force. Yep, Triple G is a great fighter, but we don't know how great Triple G could have been. But HBO didn't want to put their money where their mouth was. Nah, joke.
Hopkins ruined his 10-year reign. They stole his belts from him, gave him to Jermaine.
Yeah, Bernard Hopkins, very great fighter. So once he lost his title at middleweight, he stepped up and won at light heavyweight. Incredible. He beat the Magic Man, Antonio Tarver. And then he stepped up and he beat some other young guns as well. Remember the time he was in the ring doing the push-ups? Yeah. Bernard Hopkins, the executioner. Great fighter. And that is like Joe Missy. Who's he fighting? Oh, that's it, Vasily Hirov. Oh my gosh. That's the one. That's like Joe Calzaghe, unbeaten at super middleweight. Fantastic fighter. Although he didn't face his challenges until very late in his career. So once again, we don't know how great Joe Calzaghe really is. Hold on.
John Mugabe's nickname was the Beast. Corrales Castillo, the first fight was a masterpiece. Julian Jackson crushed Terry.
Oh, Julian Jackson, most ferocious hitter that I can remember. Oh, unbelievable.
John Mugabe's nickname was the Beast. Corrales Castillo, the first fight was a masterpiece. Julian Jackson crushed Terry Norris. Reorgan knocked out Forrest. Hearns Hagler taught us what the war is. Trying to find the next heavyweight great. They thought it was Isaiah Bucci, but he went to jail for rape. Bob Arum's a weasel and Don King's evil. Floyd Mayweather's good, but he need to fight better people. We watched Oscar De La Hoya get rich. He nearly outpointed Felix Trinidad, but then he ran like a bitch. Barrero Morales, Julio Cesar Chavez. Mexican fighters was fucking up mad heads, and we never got to see.
Salvador Sanchez, one of the greatest fighters in the history of boxing. Unfortunately, he died in, I think it was August 82, was it 83? At the age of 23 years young. Great featherweight. He'd made already 9 defenses of the featherweight crown. Unbelievable. He had an angel in him, a 15-round fighter, one of the best fighters I've ever seen. Lace up the gloves, fantastic fighter. He had an angel on him, unsurpassed by anyone. He'll stop you in that 14th round, 15th round. Yeah, great fighter, great courage, great guts. He fought them all.
The best is Salvador Sanchez. Ricardo Lopez retired undefeated.
Another one, Ricardo Lopez, finito. Oh, fantastic fighter. They see Larry Holmes getting jobbed by Michael Spinks twice.
Larry Holmes beat Michael Spinks, but he got cheated. Manny Pacquiao speed is heated, believe it to eat it. Oliver McCall smoked crack and had a nervous breakdown. Riddick Bowe knocked out Holyfield in the 8th round. Jake LaMotta had the best chin. When Mike Tyson beat Spinks, that was his best win. They stopped 15-round fights after Duck Who Kim.
Yeah, Duck Who Kim, when he fought my man Ray Boom Boom Mancini, got stopped in the 14th round, died, and then they reduced boxing contests from 15 rounds to 12-round fights. So Mark Breland here. That's when I first watched the Olympics, 1984, Los Angeles Olympics. America won so many golds. I mean, from Steve McCrory, flyweight, rest in peace. Unfortunately, he's dead. Jerry Page, who no one speaks about. I think he won at junior welterweight. Mark Breland won at welterweight. We had Evander Holyfield. He only got a bronze because he was disqualified. Who else was there? We had people like Tyrrell Biggs. We had Henry Tillman as well in the Olympics. That was a great time to be if you're USA.
The biggest disappointment was probably gold medalist Mark Breland. Emil Griffiths was accused of hanging out with queers. Tony Ayala.
Yeah, Tony Ayala. He had one of the terrible. He was a rapist. And he spent many years in jail. I mean, he could have been world champion as a teenager, but he spent many years in jail for several sort of crimes outside the ring, which is a real shame because I think he had a fight with Roberto Duran all lined up. And then, yep, his predilections, filthy animal. And he came back at the age of 40-odd, won a couple, got iced a couple of times, and he's now passed over. Yep, not a good life at all.
Went to 15 years. Michael Grant fought pitifully. Vito Antifermo was a champ from Italy. Chris Bird beat Vitaly. Fernando Vargas' best win was Ike Corte, who fought the best competition. Juan Laporte. David Johnson killed in the ring.
Bless your soul.
Tommy Morrison was diagnosed with HIV. First round, Ernie Shavers finished Kenny Norton. Michael Dokes and Tony Tucker was both Coke Norton.
Wow, people, R.A. the Rugged Man. Oh my goodness. He hit so many fighters that careers I know like the back of my hand, back to back to back to back to back. I mean, honestly, if I stopped this each time, I'd be here for 3 hours, mate. Trust me. I'm so glad he mentioned people like Alfredo Bazooka Gomez, super bantamweight champion, 70 successive knockout defenses, which is a record. I don't think he mentioned Wilfred Benitez, who was the youngest ever world champion at 17 years of age, but he's going through problems now, which is such a shame. And he mentioned Salvador Sanchez, at heavyweight. He mentioned Muhammad Ali. I'm not sure if he mentioned Joe Louis. I don't know if he mentioned Rocky Marciano. He mentioned Tommy Hearns, Marvin Hagler, Sugar Ray Leonard, Sugar Ray Robinson. He mentioned Willie Pep. He mentioned Jake LaMotta, Roberto Duran. These are all great names in boxing, guys. But this was actually a great piece of work he did. All right, there were two areas in this whole 4 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it was, which I disagree with. The school's out on say, for instance, Prince Nazim Hamed. But if you look at his resume, he did beat a lot of good fighters like Tom Johnson. Yes, they're at the end of their careers, but he beat them and he knocked them out. I mean, Naz has some serious power, but he got schooled by my man, Marco Antonio Barrera. So I don't think that's a bad mark in him. I mean, all right, Vernon Forrest, rest in peace. That was a terrible time for boxing because we lost in the space of 1 month in July. We lost Alexis Arguello, rest in peace. We lost Vernon Forrest, rest in peace. We lost Arturo Gatti, rest in peace. And that was a hard time for me as a boxing fan to take. Terrible time. But if you say that Prince Nazim Hamed was rubbish because he lost one fight to arguably one of the greatest fighters of the 90s, early 2000s, Marco Antonio Barrera, then what do you say to Sugar Shane Mosley, who got schooled twice by my man, Winky Wright? Does that mean his whole career was a joke? I mean, Mosley was winning championships at lightweight, winning championships at super welterweight, stepping up and stepping down and fighting everyone who'd fight him. But there you go. So I'm not too top with that, but also I'm not too hot with you taking off on Lennox Lewis. Sorry, RA, the rugged man, but Lennox Lewis didn't have a glass chin. Oliver Core, I knew Oliver Core was going to win that fight. I'd seen all the training, all the stuff he'd done with Emmanuel Stewart. And if he landed that punch on anyone else's chin, they'd have gone as well. Oliver McCall, actually, so in this song here, you said Jake LaMotta had the best chin in boxing. That might be true. There's a lot of guys that had great chins. Oliver McCall was another guy. He was a heavyweight. He had one of the best heavyweight chins I've ever seen. Oliver McCall. I've never even known if he went down, but you ask Mike Tyson about their sparring sessions. Oliver McCall, Mike Tyson. You asking about their sparring sessions. Oliver McCall, one of the toughest men ever, heavyweight. Trust me. So when he knocked out Lennox Lewis, yeah, trust me. But also Lewis always, he paid back the people who beat him. So Oliver McCall got stopped. Fair enough, Oliver McCall was off his face on drugs. We know it. That was very, very sad to see. But then, yeah, the other stoppage, Lennox Lewis, that uppercut stoppage, when, he avenged his defeat. But there you go. Anyway, guys, I'm not going to talk too much about this, but that was a good. That was excellent, actually. So Ari the Rugged Man, I'll give you 10 out of 10 for that. Although, I'm not too sure about Lennox Lewis, mate. Trust me. Prince Nazim Hamed, I like to give him a pass. But apart from that, that was some good research you did. That was a good rhyme. I know the tune you used and that, I just can't remember on the top of my head. But guys, that's a boxing freestyle. That was really, really good. Loved it, actually. And do you know what? I wouldn't mind if you do a part 2. And mention some of the other names that you may have missed out. Sandy Sadler, put him in there. And you missed out Henry Armstrong. How can you miss him out? Holding 3 versions of world titles in 3 weight divisions. And he should have won 4. He should have held 4. Half of the championships he should have held. But he got a job to draw at middleweight. Yeah, right. Trust me. So guys, please like and subscribe and share with your friends. Hit that notification bell to let you know when I drop another reaction. But guys, this is R.A. the Rugged Man, and this is his boxing freestyle. I really liked it. That was great, in fact. Very good. Loved it, in fact. Anyway, guys, I could chat all day long about boxing. You don't want to hear me talk about boxing. Brief. No, you don't want to hear me talk about boxing, trust me. So guys, please like and subscribe and share with your friends and let them know that Urb'n Barz is here. And Urb'n Barz is here to give you the best in reactions to hip hop, rap, urban music, trip, trap, drill, whatever. You know it, you know it, you know it. But thank you guys for listening, watching and interacting, and have a great day. Thank you.